Hey guys, welcome to the team call and thanks for being on and being flexible for the time change today. I am doing some traveling over the next couple weeks, so things are just going to be probably off next week and possibly the week after. But today we have a special guest. We have Alexa Campbell on the call, and she is going to talk about how to create awesome pictures. And I have a really good story about this because I got to see my mom last night. I stopped and had to drop a few things off before I'm at Susie's right now. And she was like, can you help me make this picture that Alexa made? And it was Alexa holding the containers. And it was funny. She's just, you guys all want to make good pictures, right? Like you guys all want to have pictures that compel people to want to work with you, or that can, show your brand and who you are and what you want to do. And that takes time to hone in on it. It's a skill. It's not something, it's definitely something that you can learn. So I don't want you to get discouraged, and I just want you to know that as you practice and as you keep doing them, you will get better at it. When I first started posting my pictures way back, 3.5 years ago when I first joined, they were horrible. And I got no comments. I got nobody interested. But over time, you get better and you get better. So Alexa's going to teach us some really great basics that are going to help you to hone in on your style with creating pictures. But before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that there is a summer sale that's happening. And I guess it's like they have like different products. I know you guys know like after Thanksgiving, they have like a Black Friday sale. I think they did this last summer, but it's not challenge packs. It's just literally like retail items, like, programs, accessories, different things like that are on super discounted sale that they're probably just trying to clear inventory out of. So I think that we're getting a sneak peek of all that in a couple hours. So stay tuned to your Coach Online office. Hopefully, if I know soon, I'll be posting in Team Triceps. So without further ado, I'm going to have Alexa take over and share with us her story. I'm just going to have her share a little bit about her story and then jump right into it. So thank you, Alexa, and I'll let you get going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for inviting me to be on. This is definitely a subject that I'm really passionate about and that I really love. I actually went into college wanting to be a graphic design major, so I really love putting the pictures together. It's like one of my favorite parts of this business. Now, I do want to start off, though, by saying you don't have to be a graphic design major. You don't have to be a graphic designer to make great photos. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But just to start off with my story, for those of you maybe who don't know me, I have been a coach since January of 2014. I actually started off as a discount coach earlier than that, but I really have been working my business since January 2014. I really went all in when I first got started because I just started to see the potential of what this business could really do for me and my family. I was working at a corporate job that I hated. I was overweight and a constant yo-yo dieter that was addicted to Taco Bell. And when I came across my coach and this opportunity, it took me a few months to finally commit, but as soon as I did and I went all in with it, honestly, my life has completely changed. So I was able to quit my job after 6 months of being an active coach, and just everything has completely changed. I actually just had my 1-year anniversary of being a full-time Beachbody coach. My income has grown 2.5 times what it used to be as a corporate climber a year ago, which is just crazy. I've lost 80 pounds. I'm a 3-star Diamond Premier coach. I was able to be in the 21-Day Fix Extreme Test Group. I was a Beachbody Challenge winner. I'm not sitting here trying to toot my horn, but I just want to share with you guys how many amazing things have happened just because I've been consistent with this business. So I hope that this presentation will help you guys in getting more comfortable with pictures and images because it's really such an important part of your business. So I'm just going to jump right into my presentation. Let's see my screen share really fast. And I actually did this presentation at the Team Triceps retreat. So if any of you guys were at the retreat, some of these slides might be familiar to you, but hopefully this will, if anything, it'll be a good refresher. But let me just jump right in and get started. So images are super important. Now, like I said, you do not have to be a graphic design guru. You do not need to be a professional artist, but you do need to make sure that you're creating visually appealing images. because honestly, oh gosh, there's somebody honking outside. Honestly, this is a representation of you and your business. Like, this is kind of like, you know, the cover to your book. People are going to be attracted to what you're posting. And good visuals are going to attract people to you. So you need to make sure that you're spending, I want to say you're making sure you're spending time, but at the same time, don't be spending hours on your images, because then that's just going to be like too much time that you're spending. But just put your time and effort into it. Just like Sarah said, this is a skill that can be learned. So just know that when I first got started with coaching, I actually have scrolled down to the beginning of my Instagram feed, and my images when I first started sucked, but they have totally changed. I've learned what kind of images work, what doesn't, what looks good, what doesn't, and just like anything, it's kind of a trial and error. You'll learn as you go, but just make sure that this is something that you're focusing on, because it's really, really important to your business. So the first thing I kind of want to chat with you guys about before I go into the more specific apps that I use for my business are just some of the basics of how to create a good image. So some of this might seem kind of self-explanatory or obvious, but maybe not to some people. So I just like to share this because it's super important how you're creating your images, not just you know, the content you're putting out. Obviously that's super important, but you got to make sure that they look good too. So you need to make sure that your images are clear and not blurry. You know, you need to make sure that you have good lighting. Really natural light is the best. If you have a food that you just, you know, whipped up and you want to take a picture and share it, go outside and take your picture. Have good lighting on it, you know, make sure it's not dark in your kitchen. Make sure that you're having contrast. So I'm going to give you guys some examples of this as well as I go forward. But contrast is, you know, making sure that you have, you know, color versus black and white. You know what I mean? Like, you can see your images, or excuse me, see your text against your images. They're not blending together. You know, it's very legible and easy for people to read. Making sure you're placing the text in the right spot. That kind of stuff is just super important. What color is your text? You know, like, where on the image are you placing it? All of that kind of stuff are things that you need to be thinking about when you're creating your images. Maybe you haven't been thinking about this kind of stuff, but just know that it really does make a big impact on how people are perceiving the things that you're posting. So here's an example. Okay, this chicken is like not very cute. This isn't the best picture I've ever taken, but I literally just kind of whipped this together. But I just took a picture of chicken, and you can kind of see the difference between the text in all three of these images, right? So the one on the left is big, bold. It's white against the blue plate. Even though that there's some white in there, it's standing out. You can 100% read that it says grilled chicken, and that's what you want. You want to have that contrast to make sure that your placement is good. Now, the other two on the right, you can see the one in the middle is kind of a bad color choice, right? Like, the gray is kind of blending in with the plate. It's kind of hard to read. Same with the one on the very right. The text is really thin. It's not really standing out. It's not bold enough, and it's clashing with the reflections on the plate. You know what I'm saying? So these are the kind of things that you need to be looking at. Is your text easy to read? Is it standing out? Is it bold? Because honestly, like, for me, if I were scrolling through and I saw either the pictures on the left, I mean, my eye, if people are scrolling news feeds, it's got to be eye-catching. You know what I mean? People are going to take 2 seconds and look at your picture, and if it's not visually appealing, they're going to keep on scrolling. So you got to make sure that this stuff is clear, easy to read, it stands out. You know, this is the kind of stuff that has to be, you know, you got to be conscious of this when you're creating your images. Okay, so I kind of want to go a little bit more into two apps that I use primarily for my business. So one of them is WordSwag and the other is InstaCollage. I use both of these pretty much every day. WordSwag is one that you actually have to pay. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it costs, but it's the best investment that you can make, honestly, in an app like this that will help you in creating your images. I will honestly say that WordSwag is probably like the #1 app that I use. I do use Rana Designs a little bit, but honestly, I mean, I don't use a ton of apps. I find ones that I really like WordSwag, and I use them all the time, and it actually helps me because I can now go through and I can create images on WordSwag so quick because I use it all the time, you know? So that's another thing to think about. I don't have a million different apps. I just have my favorites, and I really just use those. And I think that's also really important too, because that's how you're going to create a consistent look on your pictures, right? So if you're like, for example, word swag is one where you're going to be placing text on your images, and they have, you know, a set amount of fonts. So if I'm always primarily using word swag, that means I'm going to be using the same fonts over and over, right? That's not a bad thing. You're creating a brand. You're creating a look for yourself, right? If you were to go to my Instagram newsfeed and just scroll through really quick, you're going to see a lot of the same fonts, and everything's going to look kind of similar. And it kind of works because, you know, you're going to create your brand and your look for your social media page, okay? So I'm going to go a little bit into word swag and how it works. So when you open up the app, this is the page that you're going to see. And this is going to kind of give you your options on what your background of your image is going to look like. So right here, you have the option right here in the top corner to use your own photo. So obviously hit the camera roll button and you can then choose your photo. And then you also have the option to use these images and backgrounds that WordSwag's provided. So you literally can scroll through. They have a ton of different options and pick something that they have. Or you could even do a transparent background right here, like it says, and just put text over a white background. And then you also have the opportunity to search for stock images by keyword. So at the very top where it says search Pixabay, I don't know what that means, Pixabay images, you can literally type in, like I typed in fitness, I think, and it came up with this image of a girl who has a barbell, you know, on her shoulders, and then I put some text over that and you know, created my image using one of their stock photos. So you literally can type in anything and it's going to come up with some images for you. So you have a bunch of different options. I think that this is one of the reasons why I really love WordSwag, just because you have so many different options of how you create your images. You can use your own, you can use theirs, you can search for them, you know, and it's all in one spot. So here's an example of an image that I'm going to kind of take you guys through how I created. So this is one that I uploaded with my camera roll. And it's going to take you to this page where you can choose to either crop it square or keep it the size that its original size. So I obviously upload a lot of my images to Instagram. We all know that with Instagram, your images need to be square. So for this one, I cropped it and made it into a square. So you have the option to do that, or you don't have to if you don't want to. Oh, actually, I lied. I didn't crop this in the square. Just kidding. It's been a couple months since I've done this presentation. I thought I cropped it, but I guess I didn't. Anyways, okay, so this is a not cropped image, and this is what it's going to look like after you decide whether you want to crop it or not. It's going to say, double tap me to change text. So here's where you can then go through and choose your text, choose your color, all that kind of stuff. So once you double tap on the text that's on the picture, it's going to bring you to this screen. So this is where you can you know, either write your own quote, or you also have the option to choose one of the WordSwag quotes that they have here. So they have a bunch of different categories, and you can just click them. Just each time you tap them, it'll come up with a new quote. And so you can either go through, scroll, use one of the quotes that they have, or you can choose one of your own and put it in here yourself. And you also have the opportunity to add the author of the quote if you want. You don't have to, you can leave it blank, but this is the quote that I chose. And you can just put the author's name in there if you want to, or you can leave it out. It's totally up to you. But here's the picture with the text on it. So this is kind of like what it's going to initially look like. And you can go through at the very bottom and pick which font that you want to use. So they have tons of different ones that you can choose from. And then within each option, they have 5 different choices, and they'll kind of create different looks for you, basically. So you can kind of go through, and there's just a bunch of different options that you can choose from when you're creating your text on your image. So here's one little trick about WordSwag that I always like to share that I think a lot of people don't really know about. Let me go back actually to this page. So you can see with this text right here, it's kind of in a little bit of an awkward spot, right? It's like this little square. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of text. And when I'm looking at this, I'm like, this text is just kind of in an awkward spot, right? I don't know, it just doesn't look as visually appealing to me. What you can do is you can actually decide where you want the line breaks to happen versus having them automatically chosen by WordSwag. So let me go on to the next page. You can see here, if you push this button, that says auto line breaks off, you can create your own line breaks. So for example, in this quote, I want it to be just 2 lines versus, what did I say? There were 6 lines of text. I only want 2 lines of text. So what you can do is go through and just hit return where you want your line break to happen. So you can see here, that's all of this text. And then on the next line, I want it to start with this text. So it's literally just 2 lines of text versus 6. And all you have to do really is hit return where you want the quote to, where you want the line break to happen. So as you can see, here's my original quote. I went back, I turned off the line breaks, I decided where I wanted the text to break, and instead of it looking like this, now it looks like this. So there's literally 2 lines of text instead of 6, right? It goes all the way across the bottom. I just think that this looks a little bit more balanced. It just looks a little bit easier to read. It's not in such an awkward place, you know what I'm saying? So you can definitely play around with the line breaks and make it, you know, different widths however you want it. And that's one of my favorite tricks that I like to play around with WordSwag. And so once you have your text on there, you can also go through and edit your images. So you have the option down here to adjust the brightness. You can add filters to it, whatever you want to do. So I brightened my photo up a little bit, as you can see. You can also blur it too, or make it darker instead of brighter. So I made this one a little bit lighter, but you can also make it darker. That's something that I always like to play with a little bit. And so also, if you push the color button that's in the middle right there, you can go through and change your color options. I mean, pretty straightforward, right? And there's actually, since I've made this presentation, they have an update in the app, and you can actually, instead of using the pre-selected colors they have here, you can actually go through and choose your own custom color. They have that option in there now, so it's even better than when I originally made this presentation. But you want to be able to, you can go through, change your color, change your transparency, do all of that kind of stuff. Now, I do not like this color choice. It kind of blends in with the background, right? It's hard to read. It's the same color as this couch behind me, so it's just harder to read. You just can't really see it, right? But I changed it to this really light yellow, and it stands out a lot better, right? You can read it. It's very clear. And I think with the lighter background, everything, it also kind of matches with what I'm wearing, because I have yellow in my shirt. I always kind of do that. I try and tie my colors together with my text with whatever's in my image, just to make it a little bit more cohesive. So that's why I chose yellow, because I have a little bit of yellow on there, right there. I could also do like a really light blue to match the blue of the Beachbody logo back behind me. But this is a much better color choice. So these are the kind of things that when I'm talking about the basics, like making sure you have contrast, make sure that your images are legible. You know, this is all really important stuff that you need to be focusing on. Contrast is your friend. Yes, it's so true. It makes things legible, and that's what you need. Like I said, people are scrolling through their news feeds super quick. So if they can't read or understand what your picture says, they're going to keep on scrolling. You want people to stop and look at your stuff. So make sure that it's very clear, and make sure that you can read your quotes and your text that are on your pictures. Okay, so once you finish your image, you're going to be brought to this page, and you have a couple of different options. So say you wanted to add another quote or another block of text, or maybe you want to add your username or something to add it onto the picture. You can hit the reswag button, and what it will do is it'll take you back to the image, and you can then add more text to what you already have. You also have the option to go back and edit the image that you just created. So if maybe you're like, oh, I don't know if I like how this looks, or maybe I want to try and see what it looks like with a different font or whatever, just hit the back button at the top left, and it'll just take you back, and you can go through and keep editing. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to Instacollage. This is another one that I use a lot, and I mean, I just use collage apps a lot just because I do a lot of transformation photos. I just think that it's good to be able to put the collages together. Now, there's a ton of different collage apps. PhotoGrid is another one that's really great. You know, honestly, they're all kind of similar. So with the collage apps, you know, just with the collage apps, I don't know. I mean, you can really just choose whichever one you like the best. But this is one that I just happen to use. When you go through, you can click what kind of layout you want for your images. So for this one, I just kind of selected the side by side. And when you tap on the squares, you can decide if you want to upload an image from your camera, or you can take a photo. So just go through, click and add your images to your little grid right here. So you can see here I added, this is when I hit 2-star. I have my picture with me in my little recognition tank and my stuff, my goodies that Beachbody sent me. So I was sharing this on my page. But you can go through and edit your images. So if you click on the image once it's uploaded, it'll pull up this screen. And you kind of have a bunch of different options. You can edit it, you can rotate it, mirror it, so you can flip your images if you need to, all that kind of stuff. And you can also change the size of your boxes. So for example, with this one, it's a little bit off center, right? So here you can see I kind of squished this side a little bit in, made myself a little bit smaller so you could see more of my image on the left here. So you can adjust the size of your grid and where you want your image, or how big you want your images to be. And you can also use the mirror or flip feature to flip your images, obviously. So I do this a lot whenever I'm taking pictures in the mirror, or if I have like a cute workout tank and I want people to read it, I can then just flip it, mirror it, and then it'll be, the writing will be not backwards, if that makes sense. So you can see that's what I did here, because I wanted people to read my little 2 on my 2-star tank, so I just flipped it really quick. And so you can also use the frame button down here at the bottom to get rid of a candy cane. So this is funny because I actually created this presentation back in February, like I said, for the triceps retreat. And for some reason, they still had candy cane background frames. I have no idea why they didn't get rid of this in February. But if you go down to the frame button right here, you can get rid of any frames that they have, or add some that you do want to have on your picture. It's totally up to you. So you can see they have all these Christmas ones on here. I don't know why. But I always just click the white square because that has no frame. Or you can go through. They have tons of options, as you can see, a bunch of different frames that you can choose from. So if you just adjust, so this, let me backtrack. I like to have mine with no frame or no space. I mean, sometimes I'll do a space, but not always. So if you want it where it just has no space, literally your images are just, it's just your images together and nothing in between. You can just go through and adjust all 3 of these down so that it's at the very lowest that it can go, and it'll create this image like right here. Okay, so editing your photo. Like I said, if you click on your image, there's the option that will pop up for you to choose if you want to edit your photo. So if you click edit, it'll take you to this page right here. And you can go through and adjust crop, add filters, brightness, all that stuff. It's actually going to look a little bit different now because like I said, they've updated the app a little bit, but it's very similar. It works the same way. You can do all of the exact same stuff. But literally, you can just go through and change your image however you need to right here. And so I went through, again, I adjusted, I think I adjusted the brightness on this one a little bit. And so you can see when I go back to the page, it's a little bit brighter on that side, so you can see it a little bit better. I always am adjusting brightness just because that's one thing, like I said, lighting is really important. Make sure that your images are bright, you can see. If they're really dark, people aren't going to be able to know like what exactly is in this image. So make sure that your images are bright. I will adjust brightness on my images like all the time to make sure that people can see them. So once your image is all set up right here, you can hit the share button and decide if you want to save it to your phone or you can share it directly to social media. So you have the option to share it directly to Instagram or Facebook or wherever, or you can save it to your camera. So those are my 2 favorite apps that I primarily am using for my business and creating my images. But just to kind of do a recap for you guys when it comes to creating images for your business, keep it simple. You know, don't overcomplicate it. Don't put a million things all over, a million little graphics and text and all that kind of stuff. keep it simple. The simpler, the better, because it's easier for people to read. And it just, when you put a bunch of stuff on your images, it just becomes too much sometimes, you know, it's cluttered, all that kind of stuff. So just make sure you're keeping it simple, especially if this is something that maybe you're just learning or getting into. Don't overcomplicate it for yourself. Just keep it simple. Make sure you're using those basics when it comes to creating your images, the contrast, your lighting, making sure it's a clear image and not blurry. Just focus on that key stuff and your images are gonna look great, you guys. Okay, another thing that you always need to make sure you're doing is adding value. So I didn't really touch on this. This is more so like on how you create your images, but when it comes down, I just always wanna touch on this. When it comes to your content and the things that you're sharing on social media, you need to be adding value. So Shalene Johnson actually always brings this up, how coaches will just take a picture with their Shakeology, kissing their Shakeology bag and be like, I love Shakeology. I mean, that's great. I'm glad that you love Shakeology, but why do you love Shakeology? What does it do for you? What is it doing for your body? What is it doing for your challengers? How is it affecting your life? Make sure that you're adding value and sharing that kind of stuff instead of just, I did my workout today, yay, sweaty selfie. You know, that's great. I'm really happy, but you guys need to make sure you're digging deeper and adding value to people's lives, because if you're adding value, that's how you are showing people that you have credibility as a coach, because you're helping people for free on social media by adding value, by posting things that are going to help others. So make sure that you're always doing that. Kind of check yourself before you're posting and ask yourself, is this adding value to people's lives? Is this something that if somebody looks at this image, it's gonna, you know, motivate or inspire them to want to get healthy, or, you know, whatever your motive is. Make sure you're asking yourself that. Ask for opinions, okay? So don't be afraid to maybe ask your spouse or a friend or your coach, you know, does this look okay? Especially when you're first getting started, you know, we want to help you guys out. We want to make sure that you're creating good images. So if this is something that maybe you're struggling with, or you're new at, or you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly, do not be afraid to ask for opinions from others, okay? That's going to be like your best, you know, the best thing that you can do, because you're going to be able to see whether, you know, whether this image really is going to be beneficial to others. You know what I mean? So make sure that you're asking for opinions, and just always remember to not underestimate the power of your photos. If this is something that you don't really focus on, or you're not really taking time on, or you're just kind of slapping your pictures up there willy-nilly, maybe reevaluate and think about you know, the images that you're posting, because this really is kind of like your gateway for people. You know what I mean? It's your face. This is the first thing that they see when it comes to you as a coach, and you know, what you can offer them. So you have to think about this kind of stuff. Now, like I said at the beginning, don't sit there on WordSwag and spend an hour creating an image, because that's a waste of your time. But you do need to just make sure that you're making a conscious effort to create quality images, okay? So that being said, that is kind of the majority of my presentation. I'll stop my screen share really quick. Stop. Okay. Can you see me? Okay, good. Okay, did everything look good? Did it work? Okay, good. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. You know, this is just really something that's going to be super important, you guys. Don't slack on it. Don't spend too much time on it. Find that happy balance, because it really is just what's going to be really important when you get your business going. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I just have to share with you guys that line breaks thing, the little tip that you gave about changing how many lines, like being able to control how many lines you can choose in WordSwag, was awesome for me. When you did this presentation at the retreat, I was like, no way. And I feel like that changes a lot. And I sometimes use it, I sometimes don't. And, you know, I put up a picture today of my 3-day refresh results. And I don't know why I used Rana, but now that I'm looking back at that picture, I don't love how it looks. And I think it's because I love WordSwag, because you put in and it like designs it for you. Like, you don't have to be a designer or have all these great ideas. It does it for you. You just have to know what to put on the picture. So I love that. And seriously, you guys, if you're feeling like you don't even know where to start, like you don't even know what to post or what pictures to do, go on Pinterest, go search something on Google, you will find some sort of inspiration. I promise you will. That will spark some sort of idea that will get you started. And like Alexa said, the more you play around with it, the better you're going to be at it. So if you just stick with WordSwag, you're going to get really good at using WordSwag. And everybody kind of has their own apps that they use. I use WordSwag primarily as well. And I just wanted to clarify, Alexa, so on your collage app, when you set the pictures side by side, you can actually click on them individually to change the lighting on the individual pictures.
Correct. Yes. You can go through and edit each individual picture and create however you want within the collage. Definitely. Yeah.
What was that one called again? I didn't write it down.
Instacollage. And like I said, like a lot of the collage apps are going to be really similar. Another one that I do like, some that I've used before, is PhotoGrid. But that one, I think when it comes to collages, like that one, there's a ton of different options and they all kind of work the same. Whereas the ones that focus on text, I think that's the one where you need to kind of figure out which is yours that you want to focus on,
Totally. I use Pics, and I don't think that you can individually edit a picture in Pics. So I might have to switch over to Instacollage. I didn't know that. I must have been busy during that part of your presentation at the retreat because I didn't remember hearing that. So that's good. That's good. That's something I took away. But ultimately, you guys, this is a skill. It's like anything in life with your business, anything, you got to practice. Like, what did Mom always say? Mom always said, practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. You just got to keep practicing. Susie and I went for a walk just before this. And we were just talking about how people struggle. And I'm like, there's no secret in this business. There are no secrets. You just have to stay consistent, and you have to be willing to never give up. You have to make a commitment to yourself to never give up. It's the same way with pictures. It's the same way with finding your brand, with posting on social media. It takes a long time, you guys. So I encourage you to practice. Rewatch this video. Share this video with your coaches because it's a great way to get an introduction to how to create pictures, because so many people come on board. If you're a new coach watching this and you're like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I'll never be successful because I have no idea how to do that. This is an awesome way to start right here. So thank you so much, Alexa, for sharing your expertise and your passion, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for being on, and I will let you go. I know you have a million things to do. This girl's getting married in what, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something?
Yeah. Crazy.
So she's got a million things to do. So we super, super appreciate your time. Thank you so much, girl, and we will talk soon, okay? Bye, guys. Thanks for being on. Have a good week.